Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the nation's capital. That's Washington, D.C., to you and me. What a wonderful opportunity this is to enjoy the fruits of labor. Mary Brockman is in our chat room at SHR Media Live. It's at theexceptionalconservativeshow.com if you have great taste, of course. Mary's my bouncer. If you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed. Mrs. Biggs is watching via live stream or USTREAM. Still slightly tired from last week and the start of the school year, but by golly, she's relaxing, and we pray for her strength. Trying to do something different tonight with live stream. Hopefully it works. You all know that this is Tuesday night, and on Tuesday night at 10 p.m. we talk with Janice Hall, the J Hall World Report. I am so excited about tonight. We're going to be focusing a great deal of our attention tonight on the real big issue of the night. The real big issue has nothing to do about a peace sign and teardrops from the President of the United States. You know what I'm saying? Nothing whatsoever. Tonight really is about Saudi Arabia and Iran. One has been made a friend, the other has been a friend, sort of, kind of, until they knocked down the Twin Towers. But we're going to talk tonight about the real big war in the world, and that's Sunni versus Shia for the WWE belt, I guess. I don't know. So we'll be talking about that tonight. We'll be talking about, with Janice here, of course, bringing the world to the kitchen table so that you best understand it and can go out and preach the gospel of conservatism, capitalism, constitutionalism, and Christ to the world. You know what we do when we start our show? We find our right hand and we put it over our heart. We take off our hats and we prepare ourselves to do the thing that we enjoy best, pledging allegiance to the United States of America, in spite of Obama. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. We'll start with Senora Cabrera.
Buenas tardes, niños. This is Spanish with Senora Cabrera. Today we will learn how to say the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish. In English, we say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, in Spanish, we say, juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa, una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Muy bien. Practice your Pledge of Allegiance, and the more you practice, the faster you will memorize. I'll see you later.
And I will see you now. Thank you so much, Senora. And it is
Buenas tardes,
thank you.
niños.
It is such a great pleasure to have you with us tonight. And this has been one of those earth-shattering days. One of the earth-shattering days of all time. And so I want to grace this with you in ways that we can best understand it. Okay? You and I both know that acting is a very, very difficult thing to do. to be a thespian in the arts of great note, one must lose themselves in the moment and exists for only the sake of the character which is being presented to the world. That character never changes. You become the character becomes you. I think I learned that this weekend watching some TV shows with my wife. The Grinder, I think that was the show. And individuals are left with the magnificence, the power of your ability to convey the heart and soul and expressions that are held deep within the very being of that character for all the world to examine. I want to go with you real quick over the next 8 minutes or so. I want to talk with you, or at least give you the opportunity to see and to hear 10 of the best acting performances of all time. Okay, and I may have lost those who were trying to watch via live stream. Sorry, just can't seem to do it. We'll get it together. We'll get it together. The top 10 acting performances of all time. Chris Walzick.
I'm gonna kill you. What would I do without you? Go back to ripping off mob dealers? No. You complete me. You're garbage. You kills for money. Don't talk like one of them. You're not. Even if you'd like to be. To them, you're just a freak. Like me. They need you right now. When they don't, they'll cast you out. Like a leper. See, their morals, their code. It's a bad joke. Dropped at the first sign of trouble. They're only as good as the world allows them to be. I'll show you. When the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other. See, I'm not a monster. I'm just ahead of the curve.
That was Heath Ledger.
Oh, you motherfuckers. Okay. All right. I'm putting cases on all you bitches. Huh? You think you can do this shit? Jay! You think you can do this to me? You motherfuckers will be playing basketball in Pelican Bay when I get finished with you. Shoot program, nigga. 23-hour lockdown. I'm the man up in this piece. You'll never see the light of you. The fuck you think you fucking with? I'm the police. I run shit here. You just live here. Yeah, that's right. You better walk away. Go and walk away, because I'm going to burn this motherfucker down. King Kong ain't got shit on me.
Denzel Washington.
I show you out of order. You don't know what out of order is, Mr. Trash. I'd show you, but I'm too old. I'm too tired. I'm too fucking blind. If I were the man I was 5 years ago, I'd take a flamethrower to this place. Out of order. Who the hell do you think you're talking to? I've been around, you know. There was a time I could see, and I have seen boys like these, younger than these, their arms torn out, their legs ripped off. But there isn't nothing like the sight of an amputated spirit.
That was Al Pacino.
Competition in me. I want no one else to succeed. Or if it's in me, it's in you. There are times when I I look at people and I see nothing worth liking. I want to earn enough money I can get away from everyone.
What will you do about your boy?
I don't know. Maybe it'll change. Has your sound come back to you? I don't know. Maybe no one knows that. Doctor might not know that.
Where's his mother?
I don't want to talk about those things.
That was
As
Daniel
long as I
Day-Lewis.
live, she'll never let me forget what happened. I did hurt him once, okay? It was an accident. Completely unintentional. Could have happened to anybody.
You and I are
That was
on
Jack
this fucking
Nicholson.
plane. We're not going to take the plane. He's okay. He's okay. He's okay. We're not going to take the plane. Just relax. He was upset. We were going to take the plane. We're not going to take the plane now. We're not going to take the plane. Right? We're not going to fly. Okay?
No flying.
We're not going to fly.
No flying.
That was Dustin Hoffman, Rain Man.
I don't know if Mama was right or if it's Lieutenant Dan. I don't know if we each have a destiny or if we're all just floating around accidental like on a breeze. But I think maybe it's both. Maybe both is happening at the same time. I miss you, Jimmy. If there's anything you need, I won't be far away.
That was Tom Hanks.
You know what you look like to me with your good bag and your cheap shoes? You look like a rube. A well-scrubbed, hustling rube with a little taste. Good nutrition's giving you some length of bone, but you're not more than one generation from poor wire trash, are you, Agent Starling? And that accent you've tried so desperately to shed, pure West Virginia. Was your father dear to your coal miner? Does it stink of the land? You know how quickly the boys found you, all those tedious, sticky fumblings in the backseats of cars, while you could only dream of getting out, getting anywhere, getting all the way to the end.
Anthony Hopkins.
Chief voted now. Will you please turn the television set on?
Mr. McMurphy, the meeting was adjourned and the vote was closed.
But the vote was 10-8. The chief, he's got his hand up. Look.
No, Mr. McMurphy, when the meeting was adjourned, the vote was 9-9.
Oh, come on. You're not going to say that now. You're not going to say that now. You're going to pull that head house shit now. When the vote the chief just voted, it was 10-9. I want that television set turned on right now.
Jack Nicholson, one who flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Fucking lay me out. Go ahead.
You sure?
All right. Hard. Yeah? You throw a punch like you take it up the ass. Come on. Harder. Harder. Harder.
That's hot. What the fuck? What do you want?
Take it off.
Oh, come on. You want to stop now? That's enough. That's hot.
Fuck
around, man. Come on.
I'm gonna smack you again. Throw it again.
That's enough. Enough.
Hard.
Nah, your fucking cuts are opening and everything. What are you trying to prove? What does it prove?
Robert De Niro, ladies and gentlemen. 10 of the best performing actings of all time. I noticed that there were no actresses in that. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. And the reason why I bring that up tonight is simply we got a chance today to see one of the greatest actors in all of White House history, a true thespian who decided today that he would address the nation with not only weeping, but gnashing of teeth. And that weeping and gnashing of teeth would include his own tears, maybe brought to you by the makers of Vicks or possibly the homegrown organic workings of a environmentally sensitive, climate change oriented organic farmer through an onion. But nevertheless, President Obama decided to act today. And he acted in a category which I think very few people will actually qualify. And simply put, how should I say this? He will probably be just in time for the Screen Actors Guild vote on Best Acting Tyrant. And I want people to get the news today from Tim Black. I know that you all have been watching all day long throughout all the stations, all the cable, all the news networks. Everybody's playing the Indian teardrops from the president. You know, remember the native Indian who was upset when he was paddling up the river and there was pollution and the environment and everything from the 70s. Well, those who date themselves can remember this. And it seemed to be a breaking point when someone threw trash at the feet of the gentleman who played the Native American. Now remember, the person who played the Native American wasn't actually a Native American. He was an Italian who happened to settle here and become a citizen of the United States. I just want to let you know that because a lot of people had that impression that that was a real, no, it wasn't a real Indian. And these are the same liberals who get upset with the term redskin. So, you know, I'm just saying. But Tim Black today gives us the news about the Obama gun control talks. And after this, we're going to go to a break. And when we come back, I don't want to talk about the gun control thing. I think we really did a great job yesterday on our program. But I do want to talk with you about the breaking of the biggest news story. And it came this weekend, and the Obama administration has been racing to stop you from talking about it. Tim Black, take it away.
News for people who can't stand the news. Every time Obama talks about gun control, people get upset. But you know what happens every time Obama talks about gun control? Gun sales go through the roof. That's right, man. He's the best thing to happen to gun control since the Crips and the Bloods. Oh, yeah, man. White people love Obama talking about guns. Well, not average white people. Because average white people don't understand how much he benefits them by talking about guns. But people who sell guns know. Oh, the NRA loves Obama. They want to have his love child. He's fantastic for gun sales. Let's get it right. In that press conference he just held, we had the guy from the San Bernardino or the guy from the Sandy Hook or the guy from the, I don't know, thing in California. Everybody crying. When I think about these kids, it really gets to me. Come on, man. If you're thinking about those kids, there's a lot of things we could do besides gun control. Poverty control would be nice. Unemployment control would be nice. But no, let's go to gun control. It gets the most ratings. People watch it. I don't know. I'm wondering, like, is this really going to help? It doesn't help if every time you talk about guns, if you can't get it done, all that happens is you sell more guns. More guns are sold, so more guns potentially get on the streets. Just him talking about eliminating loopholes on the internet. So here's the thing. Here's what they want to do. The executive order would require that if you have a flea market where you sell guns, you have to have a license. If you sell guns online, that means you have to have a license. And if you have to have a license as a firearms dealer, you must conduct background checks. Get it? But hey, Is that going to happen? I mean, if he passes it, the next president, whoever that'll be, unless it's Hillary.
Hold on, I need to stop Tim Black here. You know, the reason why I played Tim Black is that's the other side of the urban America that's talking tonight. First and foremost, the biggest lie that was told today was that black background checks were not done on people who buy guns online. That is the biggest lie ever told from the White House. Well, maybe not the biggest, but it ranks up there because even the FBI director did not know, but was well educated just about 3 weeks ago, that that's not true. In order to pick up a gun that you purchase online, you have to go through a background check and then pick the actual gun up from the dealer. And in fact, in Washington, D.C., you have to pick it up from the police department. So that's a lie. But you know, these guys want you to think that because the government is going to do a background check, that nothing's going to happen. All the loopholes will be closed. Well, what they've done is actually tried to federalize the gun market business. They tried to take it over like they took over. I know I'm the first one to tell you all this. But they're trying to take it over like they took over healthcare. And then, what Tim Black is not going to tell you, and I'll play him out in a few moments. What Tim Black is not going to tell you is that under the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, your doctor, and we talked about this last night, can whistleblow you out and tell everybody that you got a gun. Not only can he tell you that, but now he can relay your diagnosis regarding a mental illness to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, whom can come in and take your guns. Now, I want you to remember something. LGBTQRSTUVWXYZ-ism was once considered a mental illness. It is not anymore. Was it imaginably cured by some drug, some chemical, No. They voted to make it go away. Well, guess who has the upper hand in the voting in this particular case? Those same liberals that went on to become doctors and psychiatrists. And so, guess what's going to start happening? You go in to talk to somebody, and the next thing you know, the FBI will be knocking on your door. But Tim Black's not going to talk about that to the people. Tim Black wants you to make note that it is these gun dealers who are illegal. Forget the fact that President Obama sold illegal drugs to drug dealers in Mexico. Forget that. Forget that. That they were transferring weapons of mass destruction through Turkey out of Libya. And that's how the ambassadorial situation. Forget about Benghazi. They want to blame good law-abiding citizens of America for all the drug dealers and gang dealers, gang bangers at least, killing people on the streets of D.C., Baltimore, Chicago. Yeah. Tim Black, go on and tell the rest of Black America what they need to know, because apparently you got it all right, yeah.
Clinton, he'll come right in and veto that shit like it never happened, even if he does do it. But what happens in the interim? I don't think anyone really cares about you being alive. You die by the food with this scientific, experimental GMO crap put in it with all the hormones, right? You either die by the cars, which got bad brakes or something, no one cares, or the drug.
Okay, we die by the cars. We die. All the cars that I ever made have bad brakes on them. Do you know somebody at your job will come up to you one day while you're drinking something and say, you know, man, they selling bad cars. And we're worried about drugs being sold by who, Tim?
No one checks the side effects of those drugs until they kill people. And I mean, there's so many things that'll kill you. 62% of all gun deaths are from suicides. 62. Now you would think we'd be more concerned about mental health. We're not. And suicides. Hey, I'm not saying Obama doesn't have any like love in his heart to help little kids not get shot at schools. I get it. But there's got to be other ways to get it done because, like I said, if we can't come to an agreement with everyone, like with the Republicans and the Democrats on how to get it done, a way that they can agree on, then we need to just stop talking about it. I mean, unless you like for the gun sales to keep.
That was Tim Black, and if you have any comments, you can always take them to timstake2@gmail.com. Or you can come to me at Ken at the Exceptional Conservative Show for those who are listening on the down low and might have a more sensitive opinion from the left side of the aisle. What Tim didn't talk about today is that Smith & Wesson stock prices. See, this is the bad thing, and anybody who looked at my Facebook page would know that I focus on trying to give y'all some tips early on. On Sunday, I told you to take a look at Smith & Wesson for investing this week. Okay, Smith & Wesson had a 43% increase in sales in the last quarter with a great, tremendous profit on top of that. And today, their sales in a very poor market, their shares sold 11% higher than they did the day before. All I'm going to say to you people is, thank God for the Second Amendment. And instead of us as conservatives complaining about it, Tim understands what's happening. He's not going to tell people to invest, but I certainly will. Tim won't tell you to go ahead and invest in Smith & Wesson, but you know what? We got one more year of the Obama administration. Invest, invest, invest. Make a profit off of it. If you can't buy the gun, buy the stock. You'll do just as well. We'll be back with more of the best right after this.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Infused Restaurant, and today I'm gonna walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. So we're making a pizza. We use French Italian sausage that they cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and ingredients. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and the Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. And once the fish is ready, then our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused heat burgers. So we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck hand patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're gonna grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat a little bit. We're gonna add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit. Order up!
I recommend highly, ladies and gentlemen, that you make your way to 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. The telephone number is 301-449-9000. That's infusedinfuse.com. Make it a glorious evening by eating it infused.
Right swipe. Gonna be a right swipe. This man just shaved his chest hair into a heart. You stole mine. Right swipe.
Right swipe, right swipe. That kind of looks like my sister. It does. But I know she's not.
He's cuddling a kitten. God, I want to eat their faces.
Oh, she's hot.
Oh, wait a minute.
That's a lollipop. Oh, that is not a lollipop. Left swipe.
Left swipe.
Let's swipe that. You gotta swipe it left. Yeah. You gotta swipe it left. Let's swipe that. You gotta swipe it left. Check the stuff I don't like, so I gotta let's swipe that. Look at you with your shirt off, flexing. You're buff, but you puff, hashtag perplexing. Yeah, you worked out, you're in shape, okay. I like the six-pack abs, not the six-packs a day.
Came across a photo of this green-eyed hottie, whole nine, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. But I just couldn't overlook one small fact. She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
There must be some kind of joke to make your mind tight, and I'm not tight. Hope you're good in the cloud of smoke. I just left swipe, bye-bye. I just left swipe. Let's swipe that. You gotta swipe it left. Yeah. You gotta swipe it left. Let's swipe that. You gotta swipe it left. Check the stuff I don't like, so I gotta let's swipe that.
Mr. World Traveler, your trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop looking all pensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Lots of chicks in the pic, not sure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking y'all from 10s to 2s. And one thing's true about your whole crew, none of you cigarella's gonna be my boo.
Smoking with the tiger?
Let's swipe that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Let's swipe that.
Smoking while acting healthy.
Let's swipe that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Let's swipe that.
Smoking with a duck face.
Let's swipe that.
And a monster truck race?
Let's swipe that.
Smoking at the prom.
Let's swipe that.
Even at a photo booth?
He don't care.
Let's swipe that. You gotta swipe it left. Yeah. You gotta swipe it left.
Let's swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. Check the stuff I don't like, so I gotta let's swipe that. You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah. Hashtag.
I'll never remember you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republicans and then the Democrats. Your host, the exceptional one here, Mrs. Biggs, is watching via live stream and USTREAM. And, of course, Mary, my bouncer, it's in the chat roll. So glad to have her here. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night, Wednesday night, hopefully they will be back. As I am making this announcement, I could be wrong. Normally not, but I could be. But SHR will be back on the air tomorrow night at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, and that is 7 p.m. Pacific. In addition to that, on Friday, Chris Peranto will be appearing on the Underground Professor show. Congratulations, Underground Professor. The movie 13 Hours is making its debut this week. It's going to be a blockbuster, not only for those who have been waiting to watch that film, but also those who have been hoping that it would never be done in the first place. That's the Hillary Clinton crew. So we look forward to a wonderful interview. Look forward to hearing it on the Underground Professor show. And you can go to Blog Talk Radio to hear him. Now, there is one thing I want to say, and I thought I would not do it, but one of the all-time best cries. It wasn't done today. It wasn't done today, no. I mean, in fact, with that teary moment for the president welled up thoughts of John Boehner. And in politics, I don't think crying has necessarily jumped into the forward of the appreciated American vice. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe that seeing a grown man cry less for something of great renown and importance in a moment on the battlefield, or maybe he's been locked out of his house by his wife. You know, moments like that, that's where the tear things. But when you look at the President of the United States, you expect to see a strong, bold leader who never shows weakness, because your nation is only weak when it has been struck, but twice as strong when it strikes back. This is one of the greatest in all time's history, the greatest tearing fake cry, it's a faux cry in American history. It's Steve Martin on the Johnny Carson Show.
Yeah. Look, I wish you good luck on the special. I understand that you have to leave.
Yeah, I have to
be
go.
somewhere this evening and go.
I have to rehearse.
I know. Look, I know you're doing a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carl Reiner directing too.
Yeah, that's good.
That's pretty good.
That's good. We'll talk about that next time you come.
Yeah.
Okay.
I appreciate
Thanks for being
it.
here.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Funny guy, Steve Martin.
I don't have to win it. I was lying. I see all the big stars come on, they always have to leave. I just thought I had to leave, but I don't have to.
That's all right. That's all right. I understand. I understand. Can you stay on a little while with us? Oh,
I can stay the whole show and a little bit longer.
okay, maybe right from here you can write on Tom Snyder. Okay. You can go right there. I know how you feel. Thank you. That's sweet of you. We'll do this. We'll be right back. You'll still be here. Okay, don't leave.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a very full cry. And what we saw at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue today was not its equal. It was more pathetic than it was ever comedic. And, oh well, some people will buy into anything. In fact, I think it was W.C. Fields who said you can find a fool and at any time, something to that effect. There will be those who will fall prey to the crying. But the truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter what he does from the White House. The Second Amendment is constitutional. It is the law, the supreme law of the land. And any attachment he makes to it needs to be questioned severely. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the big issue that we should be talking about in America. The San Bernardino situation, bar none, that we should be talking about terrorism in America. We should talk about how on his watch an ambassador was killed in Libya. On his watch, we have seen an attack of the magnitude, a lesser magnitude, but still just as powerful in its presentation of ISIS coming ashore in the lone wolf attack of San Bernardino. And being told that all of America is now on alert, especially during New Year's Day. And so the celebration of New Year's Eve, the transition into the real taste of the matter is the fear in the hearts of America. And a lot of people, whether under the Bush administration or under the Obama administration, and even under the Clinton administration, have always told us that these people are our friends. That they are, in fact, we had George Bush holding hands with the Saudi king. We had the President of the United States, Barack Obama, bending over backwards to the Saudi king. Wait. And then we have him under the cover of night working out a deal with the Republic of Iran. But the truth of the matter is, the real world war, especially as we're watching oil prices drop, we're watching the stock market fall, people are concerned about the issues that are happening around the world that they have no direct impact on. The real concerns that we have is the Sunni Shiite war. The Wall Street Journal put together this piece on April 7th, 2015. I want to play it for you tonight.
In today's Middle East, deep political and religious divisions are fueling insurgencies and proxy wars. One key driver of this instability is the 1400-year-old sectarian split between Sunni and Shiite Muslims that goes back to the origins of Islam. The group that would become Shiites wanted the Prophet Muhammad's son-in-law, Ali, to succeed him. The group that would become Sunnis favored the Prophet's father-in-law, Abu Bakr. Today, Sunnis make up about 90% of the world's 1.6 billion Muslims. Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Syria, and most of the oil-rich Gulf states are overwhelmingly Sunni. On the other hand, the Persian nation of Iran is the heartland of the Shiite world, and the Arab countries Iraq and Bahrain have majority Shiite populations. There are a couple exceptions to this idea that countries are overwhelmingly dominated by Shiites or Sunnis. Lebanon, for instance, has about equal numbers of Shiites and Sunnis in its population. Bahrain is a majority Shiite country but is ruled by a Sunni. In Syria, a majority of the population is Sunni, but the country is ruled by an Alawite, which is an offshoot of Shiite Islam. The two main regional rivals in the Sunni-Shiite split are Saudi Arabia and Iran. Let's look at how these two countries compare and compete for supremacy and influence around the Middle East. Saudi Arabia looks to its ally, the United States, for military protection. Iran, on the other hand, has a large military and intelligence service of its own and is often active on foreign soil. Saudi Arabia is ruled by a king, whereas Iran is ruled by a cleric. Both countries vie for influence through the use of proxies. Saudi Arabia typically backs Sunni leaders as well as rebels fighting against Shiite interests. Iran backs Hezbollah in Lebanon and Palestinian militant group Hamas in Gaza. Both countries' economies are built on oil. Three countries are in the midst of major Sunni-Shiite proxy wars: Iraq, Syria, and Yemen. Let's look at Iraq first. It's a country with a majority Shiite population. Its former ruler was the Sunni dictator Saddam Hussein, but the country is now ruled by Shiites, although pockets are controlled by the Sunni extremists ISIS. Iran has backed Iraq's new Shiite leaders. Saudi Arabia, though, is not happy that Iraq is now controlled by Shiites. Iran is helping the government fight ISIS. Saudi Arabia also sees ISIS as a threat. Iran has military advisors inside the country. Saudi Arabia is worried, though, about growing Iranian influence, and it's joined the U.S.-led coalition against ISIS and is hoping the U.S. will be more active inside Iraq and help keep Iran at bay. Now let's go to Syria. The country has a majority Sunni population, but it's ruled by Bashar al-Assad, who's an Alawite, which is an offshoot of Shiite Islam. Syria has been going through an ongoing civil war. Sunnis and extremist groups like ISIS are vying to push Assad out of power. Iran is openly backing the Assad regime. Saudi Arabia supports Sunni rebel efforts to topple Assad. Iran is backing proxies like Hezbollah to aid in the fight against that mostly Sunni-driven uprising. The situation is equally complicated in Yemen. The country is 65% Sunni, and its Sunni president was pushed out by Shiite rebels called the Houthis. Sunni extremists al-Qaeda are also vying with the Houthis and the government for control of the country. Iran is backing the Houthis in its efforts to control the country, but Saudi Arabia, along with other Sunni nations, is launching airstrikes against the Houthis to prevent them from taking over. Iran, not surprisingly, is highly critical of those military strikes, but Saudi Arabia wants to make sure that Yemen, which is right on its border, is ultimately and securely ruled by a Sunni. Two strands of Islam splintered off into many deadly alliances. If It's a highly volatile geopolitical cauldron with seemingly no end in sight.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to give you some insights regarding Saudi Arabia and Iran, because that is the biggest story of the weekend. The biggest story being that the Sunni-led Saudi Arabian government decided that they no longer need to hold captive a Shiite cleric who was very charismatic. And in fact, um, they killed that gentleman. They decapitated him. And as a result, Iran began to burn down the Saudi Arabian embassy in Iran, Tehran at least, and the Saudi Arabians expelled the embassy leaders of Iran from Saudi Arabia. So really, this is turning into a geopolitical power play, and it's good when you've been leading from behind to have this particular day be spent talking about gun control, because the bottom line is the bottom line is that we're beginning to watch the openings of a world war. And the world war is not, I know a lot of people want to bolster themselves and say, let's talk about Saudi Arabia versus Iran. I mean, the Persians versus the Arabs. I mean, this is what it's all about right here. This is what we've been waiting for. And the truth of the matter is, that this war has been going on for almost 1,400 years. It is a family war. And whether you have the little breakages that are either extremist or more clerical in terms of charisma, and then stop. The truth of the matter is, you have one group, the Shiites, who believe in the tradition of Islam. And you have the other group who do not. The Sunnis would like to put an end to their seemingly fearless Shiites. And virtually what you're seeing here is that the Iranians, who once sought the President of the United States as a means of anchoring peace for them, or at least giving them political power in the Middle East, and a head start on the nuclear Cold War of the Middle East, now have put this particular president in a very poor situation and circumstance. I mean, because his new friend on the block is Iran. He's giving them money. He's helping them with their nuclear activities and pursuits. Saudi Arabia is slightly offended here. I thought we were buddies. Buddy. I thought that we were on the same core. I mean, we don't share values completely, but you've always been a friend to us, the U.S., and now it looks like you are a bigger friend to Iran than you are to us. Notice how you didn't hear very much out of the White House this weekend regarding the Iran-Saudi Arabia situation. It's more than a cleric being decapitated on a Saturday. The truth of the matter is, we're watching a world war right before our very eyes. Now, for some, you might say, well, this is not something that we need to get involved in. But for others, the truth of the matter is, it's too late. We are sleeping in both beds with the Shiites, or the Shia, and with the Sunnis. Hillary laughed off the fact that ISIS was created by the Obama administration. Putin and others around that particular area aren't laughing. Cleric Nimrah el-Nimrah was executed against the pleas of people around the world. But it was that day, it was last Saturday, that the gauntlet was dropped between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia is messing with both Bahrain, and Yemen. They want to secure their borders. The Iranians want to find a way to destroy their neighbor through Iraq. All of that's going on right now in Iraq is vital. If Iraq falls to Iran, it may start a war that a lot of people's gluteus maximus can't cash. The funny thing is that you can't deny them because they've been given permission by this administration to yield their power and their authority, or to wield their power and authority as they see fit. And what say you, Iran? How will you react? Everyone's watching. The one thing that we do know is that as fuel prices are falling, as the U.S. is, again, a superpower in the world of energy, the calling card on Washington for the next presidency may not be there for either one of those nations. So the question becomes, what of Israel? Can Israel make it? We may have to decide most astutely in 2016, 2017 as well. Whom is our friend? Because the truth of the matter is, as the days exhaust themselves, ISIS waits not for Saudi Arabia. If it can take down Iraq, it will continue full speed ahead to Iran. And if Iran can take down Iraq, you may have a war like you've never seen before in the Middle East. The unfortunate thing is that many of those who were involved in that war are beginning to spread out like tentacles around the world. And they're not being recruited because of Donald Trump or George Bush. They're being recruited because this has been going on for 1,400 years. We're fighting a holy war, believe it or not. It's just the American people have to figure out which holiness will they fight for. We'll be back with more of the best in Urban Conservative Talk. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital.
Right swipe. It's gonna be a right swipe. This man just shaved his chest hair into a heart. Oh, you stole mine. Right swipe it.
Right swipe, right swipe.
That kind of looks like my sister. It does. But I know she's not.
He's cuddling a kitten. Oh my God, I want to eat their faces.
Oh, she's hot.
Oh, wait a minute.
That's a lollipop. Oh, that is not a lollipop. Left swipe.
Left swipe. This must be some kind of joke. If you think you're my type, and I'm not type. If you're good in the cloud of smoke, I just left swipe. I just left swipe.
Left swipe that.
Why you gotta swipe it left?
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
Why you gotta swipe it left? Get the stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
Look at you with your shirt off, flexing. You're buff, but you puff, hashtag perplexing. Yeah, you worked out, you're in shape, okay. I like the six-pack abs, not the six-packs a day.
Came across a photo of this green-eyed hottie, whole nine, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. But I just couldn't overlook one small fact. She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
This must be some kind of joke. If you think you're my type, and I'm not type. If you're good in the cloud of smoke, I just left swipe. I just left swipe.
Left swipe that.
Why you gotta swipe it left?
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
Why you gotta swipe it left? Get the stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
Mr. World Traveler, your trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop looking all pensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Lots of chicks in the pic, not sure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking y'all from 10s to 2s. And one thing's true about your whole crew, none of you cigarella's gonna be my boo.
Smoking with a tiger?
Left swipe that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Left swipe that. Smoking while acting healthy. Left swipe that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Left swipe that. Smoking with a duck face. Left swipe that.
And a mustard truck race?
Left swipe that. Smoking at the prom. Left swipe that.
Even in a photo booth?
He don't care. Left swipe that.
Why you gotta swipe it left?
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
Why you gotta swipe it left? Get the stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah. Hashtag.
I'll never remember you.
Never.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Infused Restaurant, and today I'm gonna walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. We're making a pizza. We use French Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and ingredients. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and a Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. Once the fish is ready, then our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused heat burger. We kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck ham patty burgers burger. We add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat that we have. We're gonna add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger, spice it up a bit. Order up!
6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748 301 449 9000. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the 10 o'clock hour. And you know how we start our 10 o'clock hour off. This is a time period where we give pledge of allegiance to the United States of America. We're going to start it off with Senora Cabrera.
Buenas tardes, niños. This is Spanish with Señora Cabrera. Today we will learn how to say the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish. In English, we say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, in Spanish, we say, juro fidelidad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación bajo Dios, indivisible, con libertad y justicia para todos. Muy bien. Practice your Pledge of Allegiance, and the more you practice, the faster you will memorize. I'll see you later.
And we will see you now. Welcome back to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. It is, it really is. It is the power of liberation, first the Republican, and then the socialists, and then our commercials. So glad to have you here tonight. And it's been one of those wild days. But you know, on Tuesday nights, as my great pleasure it is to always have Janice Hall with us to talk about foreign policy. And we want to bring her up in just a moment or two. But we also want to thank all those who've been tuning in to High Plains Talk, also to Rebooting Liberty, and all the other institutions that have been covering us and our program. We thank you so much. We're so apologetic as well for what's happening with the live stream feed. I don't know exactly how it works, but we're going to make it work. We're going to find a way. And I am also very glad to have Mrs. Biggs watching via live stream and USTREAM, and also Mary, my bouncer, here with us tonight. Without further ado, let us get one of the most exceptional women in America on the phone, Janice Hall from the J Hall World Report. Let's say, we get this number in there. Okay. And no, let's try this number here. I love it. You would think nothing else happened today except for Obama cried. Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. All the stuff that happens around the world, and we're worried about a grown man crying. Ooh. There we go. One ringy dingy, two ringy dingies. Oh, got right through. That's good.
Hello.
Hello, Janice Hall, the J Hall World Report. So glad to have you back with us from your vacay. Hey, how was it?
It was good, and I'm always happy to be here, and happy 2016.
All right, that's what I'm talking about. Listen, I'm very glad that you had a wonderful time period and a great holiday season. But we just got finished listening to me talk about Saudi Arabia and Iran. And I didn't give away too much of it, but
okay.
Take it away. Tell us why we are so close to World War I.
All right, but I'm sure you did a really good job too, though.
You're right. Okay. But why is the Exception One and JANIS so concerned about what's happening between Saudi Arabia and Iran?
Okay, so on Saturday, okay, Saudi Arabia executed a Shiite cleric, okay, which made Iran go crazy, and essentially some Iranians decided they wanted to go, attack the Saudi embassy in Tehran, because that's what Iranians do. And Saudi Arabia got very unhappy about this. I mean, there's a lot of tension anyway.
Yeah.
So Saudi Arabia, being unhappy about this, decided to just close its embassy and cut off ties with Iran. And they weren't the only ones. So Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, and even Sudan, that is predominantly Sunni, also decided that they're basically going to, cut diplomatic ties of varying levels with Iran.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's really starting to look like something out of World War I, or right before World War I, where you have, all these alliances, and we're not going to talk to you, and we're going to start, these little civil wars everywhere. I mean, basically Yemen is basically a proxy war for Saudi Arabia and Iran, and obviously we talk about Syria a lot. That's a big mess.
Yeah.
That also that Iran is also involved in, along with a host of other interests.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all a big mess, and I think it's getting worse. And I think that because the U.S. has not been very strong when it comes to Iran,
mm-hmm.
that Saudi Arabia feels, somewhat vulnerable, and they feel that they need to take matters into their own hands and stand up for themselves when it comes to Iran. And that's sort of what's happening now. That's what they're doing, and that's why things look like it's somewhat descending into chaos.
Exactly. And with each side turning on each other at this particular juncture, and I don't know why Sudan is involved in anything. They can't make up their mind if they're going to, why are they involved? But nonetheless, the real problem here is that the person who has been leading from behind has been sleeping with both of these parties. The Shiites from Persia, Iran, and the Sunnis from Saudi Arabia. He's been sleeping with both sides, and now they're saying choose one. How dangerous is that for a president who couldn't get the world to join him against Assad?
I mean, it's pretty dangerous, and mostly because the U.S. is a stabilizing factor, okay? Yeah. And because we have not been involved in the Middle East, and because we have not, essentially picked sides, and there's so much uncertainty that it's really causing a lot of tension and anxiety. And when that happens, people are very, they trust kind of goes out the window.
Yeah.
The benefit of the doubt also, kind of leaves. And so you're left with people being, taking matters into their own hands that, might result in something bad.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of what we're seeing.
Exactly. Now, a lot of people, and you speak to liberals, and I do on a daily basis, and they're of the opinion that there is no doggone way that Iran would be willing to go to war against Saudi Arabia. It's just not in their nature. They're too civilized. Neither one of those sides would find any winnings in it. They would both lose. They're not going to do it. And so we're just hyping this. Is it plausible that Saudi Arabia would attack Iran?
I think I think it's definitely plausible. I think a lot of it is based on how it would be done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not entirely sure that immediately you would see, missiles being aimed towards Saudi Arabia all of a sudden. That might not happen.
Mm-hmm.
But Yemen has certainly been, a breeding ground for terrorists and just chaos that, that could very easily be a point that sort of spills over into Saudi Arabia.
I want to ask you, Janice, whose fault is really all of this?
We all listen to the show, so we know it's Obama's fault. That's like our favorite pastime here.
There you go. But really, isn't this also part of the European Union's fault?
Yes, it is. I mean, I do want to definitely say that ultimately it's Islamic extremists. It's their fault.
Yeah.
First and foremost, they are the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it continues to grow and that there's no end in sight, and that we seem to be, the world seems becoming more dangerous and not less so, that is the fault of Obama and Western Europe, and generally anybody, any country that has the ability and the means to deal with this threat. Exactly. And I mean, I would include Russia and China in that as well. And not that I would like to see Russia or China deal with it, because they would then ultimately be, they would be gaining a sphere of influence that I would not want them to have. But I mean, they could do something about it, and yet they also choose not to.
Wow. Yeah, and China can't seem to move forward on they're vacillating in terms of trying to be a military power. And one of the reasons is that their economy is shattering right before our eyes. Will you talk with us about the stock market just the other day and why that has a significant impact on what China does with its military?
So yesterday was a fun day in the Chinese stock market. So it dropped 7%. It might have dropped more, except that the safety net basically at 7% is kicked in and all trading is stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what happened on Monday. And so it wasn't bad today, but the only reason it wasn't bad today was because the Chinese government decided to basically inject the stock market with a bunch of cash.
Mm-hmm.
So, they essentially took measures to prop it up. But, I mean, that's not going to last forever.
No.
The Chinese economy, I think, as we know, is very fragile.
Yeah.
And, it's been, people have overhyped it for a long time.
Yeah.
The Chinese themselves, I think, have oversold how much their success for a long time. And they essentially are not, their rate of growth and their economics are not really sustainable. And, we're starting to see that reality sort of come to fruition.
Exactly.
We're seeing, we're basically seeing that they, you can't have that, amazing economy all the time.
No, it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't.
No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way here, and it doesn't work that way there.
Exactly, and they have been growing at a rate of like 10% through most of the mid 2000s, and then recently they've fallen to 9 and 8 and now 7, and it looks like they're going to fall to about 5% growth, which is still 5 times our growth rate.
Right, that's so good. Well, I also take those numbers with somewhat of a grain of salt, considering the fact that China does like to inflate them. But yeah, the point is that their growth is slowing. They can't maintain what they had before, and they're going to have to compensate for that. You know, they can't rely on having that steady stream of growth.
Yeah, which means that you can't fuel a sizable investment in military power. They just got their aircraft carrier. They got one aircraft carrier. They started building islands in the South Asian Sea because they knew that they didn't have the wherewithal to expand their naval forces and their air forces. So why not just take over the land? And it makes it easier. And it looks like that might be interfered with as well. So really, the powerhouse that's beginning to grow around the world, and that might be a concern because of oil and gas, is Russia, which seems that it's able to stand on its own 2 feet and start trouble wherever they wish to.
The Russians are, you know, they're interesting people, and I like them. And the Russians are very unique in that life can suck really bad, and that's just okay. You know, there's kind of a great little thing I think I saw floating around the internet, and is, you know, just basically if you want to sum up Russian history, like, and then things got worse, which pretty much seems to always be the case in Russia. So in their case, their economy, I wouldn't say that it's doing well. It's not doing well, but it's going, which is enough. And you know, while the economy and money is important, it's the Russians and Putin himself, I think, is also very interested in you know, power and prestige around the world. And even though the economy might not be great, they are still, you know, interested in being influential. I think that they're going to continue to be so.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, there's a reason why, you know, they have, you know, a very sizable, you know, military, you know, during the Cold War, you know, and tons of nuclear weapons, and yet their economy was, you know, basically nothing compared to ours.
Exactly.
Because, you know, military and that power was important to them, and I think it will continue to remain so.
Now, we're talking with Janice Hall, the J Hall World Report. You know that this is my favorite night of the week, Tuesday nights. We talk about world affairs, basically, and bring it to the kitchen table, and no one does it the way Janice does. But we're having a problem with a leader who, by the way, do you think it was an onion or do you think it was Vicks? Which one was it that made him cry?
I mean, Vicks would probably be more reliable.
There you go. I think it was Vicks too. Oh, but I think he's up for Best Tyrant for the Oscars. But we're going to check on that. But there is a war that he said was over. We closed it out in 2014, and we started calling people home, and it's only Afghanistan. What the heck is happening in Afghanistan? I thought this was supposed to be over.
No. Well, here's the thing. Nothing in the Middle East is over. Right? It's just not. And, you know, just because you pacified one location for a certain period, you know, right then and there, does not mean that it will continue to not be a problem. Okay? That is just not how, you know, terrorism or even war really works. Okay? And so we are now seeing, you Afghanistan is basically becoming, much more dangerous. Yeah, I mean, it's always been dangerous.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just becoming more so. I do think to some degree, the incident that's, happening right now, which is essentially that an American was killed and a couple others were wounded, and now we actually have like a special forces team is essentially now, trapped and surrounded. Well, they're not trapped. They will probably be airlifted out eventually, but
yeah,
they're essentially surrounded. And I think that to some degree, yeah, it's just an unfortunate event that just happened to be happening now. But at the same time, Afghanistan is beginning to deteriorate again after being, more or less pacified. And I definitely want to note and everybody to know that even ISIS is getting in on the game in Afghanistan. They have decided to send a little small contingent to start getting in on the action in Afghanistan.
Yeah. What better training? You go up against the best army in the entire world, and you know that they're leaving? Yeah, what better training? There you go.
Yeah.
But I want to ask...
the Taliban are happy about it, and they...
Exactly!
But, and honestly, that's probably going to be it could eventually turn into another huge flashpoint if you have, essentially ISIS and the Taliban going at each other.
So we're really watching from the shores of Nigeria all the way to Malaysia, virtually a civil war within Islam between the Sunnis and the Shia. And that every nation is becoming a battlefield nation for them. And the fire is just blazing across the world. And we have a president who is fiddling around with the Second Amendment here while the rest of the world burns. Right. Would you have chosen to talk about the Second Amendment, rather than to deal with Saudi Arabia and Iran today?
No. I mean,
if you were Obama,
I would never have dealt with the Second Amendment anyway. Other than to make it strong. Well, I would obviously change the Constitution, but make the general laws that we have currently stronger in support of gun rights. Anyway.
Yeah.
So no. Yeah. It's I'm almost speechless.
Yeah. But really, this is a diversion, because he virtually has failed as a world leader. He's failed here as a terrorist, a leader against the terrorists. And now we're watching Afghanistan fall to the Taliban and to ISIS. We're watching Iran throw down the gauntlet against Saudi Arabia. We're looking at chieftains and others in North Africa and East Africa become essentially worried about the expansion of ISIS near them. We're looking at Boko Haram in Western Africa and and we're looking at lone wolves here in America. In Canada. The whole world's on fire, and this guy wants to talk about an executive order for the Second Amendment? Are you kidding me?
Apparently we're not kidding, Ken. We're not kidding.
Janice, one last thing, because we're going to run out of time. I do want to get to this particular story here. Apparently you can't be too nice inviting people into your home. Can you tell us what's happening with those people in Europe? Those people who wanted to show Americans Sweden and Denmark. What's happening there?
Okay, so there's a couple things I want to touch on. I'll try and do it really quick. So Sweden, that has had the most asylum seekers per capita, what Sweden has currently, basically is now issuing border checks for people coming in from Denmark. Now, Denmark is also now instituting border controls. So, I mean, basically, it's just continuing. I mean, we have France that still has border controls. Austria, Germany, Norway, all have, decided to actually start screening people who are entering their country. And I think we're just going to see more and more countries do this because of the refugee crisis, the invasion, essentially. And it's kind of, to some degree, it's sort of, I find it kind of sad because Europe had the Schengen area. And a lot of these European countries have said, well, you know what, we're just going to allow people to move as they want within these countries. And I really don't generally have a problem with that. But now that's in jeopardy because they were unable to deal with, this situation and allowed all these people to come in the first place.
I really find it funny, Janice, that, and we've been talking about this for the past 2 to 3 years, about the European Union never really being united. If they had first united and then became a benevolence to the Middle East, that would have been wonderful. But they were never united. And the Syrians and others from the Middle East have taken advantage of that particular scenario and situation. And now you have, after years, when Margaret Thatcher told them not to do it, they did it anyway. You have years in which groups of radicals have now mobilized in small town sects and literally are putting those nations at risk. And the only thing that you can do is get rid of them. But that doesn't look nice, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't even look nice to not let them come in the first place, and I get that. But sometimes being a leader isn't about being nice. It's about doing what's best for your country. And, one of my biggest criticisms of Obama is that he's, he doesn't really lead. He isn't doing what is best for the U.S.
Yeah, exactly. Janice, I love having you here on Tuesday nights. Janice is our official world guru. We call her guru. World affairs. I like guru. World affairs guru. And we're going to be calling on her a lot during 2016, especially as we get close to election year. A lot of world events. And I really believe, and I don't know about you, but I really believe that the kindling this weekend with the killing of the cleric, probably by summer we're looking at something going off between those two nations. I don't think they're going to stay at peace for very long. And that will dramatically impact how we see Hillary Clinton as a world leader versus whoever she'll be running against. I want to ask you real quick, though, because there was a email that came out over the Christmas break where they dumped it, where she says that she had spoken with the admiral who was fired and all of the other leaders during Benghazi, and they said that they were ready to go. They just needed a word. Do you think that later on will be the killing blow to her presidency or her run for the presidency?
I really hope so. I kind of thought that a lot of the Benghazi stuff, I feel like the debacle of Benghazi should have been handled already. Hillary Clinton should already have essentially been disgraced for what has happened, Obama as well. And it's kind of unfortunate that it takes a campaign several years later to highlight, the misdeeds of that evening.
Yeah.
So yes, I kind of I do kind of think so and hope so, but at the same time, you know, why is it taking this?
Yeah.
You know, why is it taking this long?
Well, it's probably taking this long because Gowdy wants to endorse Rubio. That's probably why. Janice Hall, the J Hall World Report. Love you. Thank you so much for coming on with us tonight.
Thank you so much.
All right. Janice Hall, J Hall World Report. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be talking with you in just a few when we come back to our fourth quarter where there are no more commercials. We just go straight through about why you should be concerned about taxes. I know nobody wants to talk about it, but you should be concerned. And you need to make certain that your city is doing everything that it can, not only to collect your taxes peaceably, but also responsibly as servants oversee what's going on in tax offices around the country. I'm also going to tell you the stuff that you need to be getting together for tax season. We'll be back with more of the best right after these beloved messages.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Infused Restaurant, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. So we're making a pizza. We use French Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh and ingredients. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and a Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. And our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused beef burgers. So we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA ground chuck hand patty burgers, nice half a pound of burgers, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on it until it makes a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, make your way out to Infuse Restaurant, 6339 Allentown Road. Don't go to the one at 6939 because that's the wrong one. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. And that's 301-449-9000. InfuseInfuse.com. Make your way out there. Ladies and gentlemen, when everything went wrong, 6 men had the courage to do what was right.
Benghazi is under attack. We need immediate assistance. State's under attack. Let's go. The U.S. ambassador at risk. You gotta send us. You're not the first responders. You will wait. No! We have no jurisdiction in this country. We're not even supposed to be here. Losing initiative. Stand down! If you do not get here soon, we're all gonna
None of you have to go. But we are the only help they have. Hey, we're coming in. We're on property. Let's push this side and get still inside. On the roof, don't empty.
Chief, are we expecting any friendlies?
I am not aware of any friendlies.
Let them come. Let them come.
We don't unleash hate on these guys. What you do right now will determine whether we live or die.
As long as I'm doing the right thing, God will take care of me.
If you don't send massive the Americans are going to die, including the one talking to you right now.
You're not giving orders anymore. You're my worker. Haven't thought about my family once tonight. Thinking about them now. Here in the middle of all this. Thinking about my girls, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, 13 Hours is coming out this week, and Thursday, January the 14th, I believe, is the date of the big showings around the country. The great Chris Paranto will be on the Underground Professor show on Friday. I've never really demanded anyone do anything on my program. Really haven't. I don't even want to start now. But when 6 members of the Annex security team defended the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya, from an attack by Islamic militants, they did that because in their heart, as Americans, we do that kind of thing for each other. We got your 6. We got your back. The American ambassador died. 2 Navy SEALs died. And a State Department employee. We were thinking on that night that it was just the 4 of them. But ladies and gentlemen, there are so many others that were there that night. And the big story that we're getting is that there was time to actually help, time to actually do something. When you're the only one standing, you know, I don't know about you, but if you've ever been on the side of the road on a rainy night and you've made that phone call, you know you spoke with the person. You know you have spoken with the person. You know for a fact that they're coming. They might be a little ways away, but they're coming. And you get back in the car and you roll up the windows, and all you can think to yourself, no matter what you're trying to do, maybe turn the ignition over, maybe you get out and look underneath the hood, you stand by the side of the car and watch 1 or 2 cars go by and don't see anything else for a while. All you're thinking about is that they can't get here fast enough. And sometimes we become so arrogant and caught up in our emotional investment to the moment, whether it's raining or it's real hot or whatever the atmosphere is, day or night. All you know is you've made a phone call to someone you trust. You have virtually placed all of your hopes and cares and aspirations in that one phone call. And the person on the other side, you're praying that they understand the severity of the situation. Now, I'm not talking about running out of gas and you got a gas can in the back of the car. You can walk down the ramp and come back, pour a little gas in, and you can make it. I'm not talking about that. But the engine on your car has gone out. The transmission's gone out. The battery's gone. And there's no one there that can actually help you any more than what resources you have available to you. And the only thing you're hoping is the person on the other side of the phone understands the severity of the situation. That is not sympathetic to your phone call, but empathetic to your phone call. Understands that this is that moment. Anyone could walk up on you. You are vulnerable like you've never been before. I don't know about you, but one of the greatest things when I learned as a young adult to drive, I no longer had to be dependent on carrying around a little folder of the buses and the subway times and things. That I was free. On that night, U.S. Ambassador J. Christopher Stevens, U.S. Foreign Service Information Management Officer Sean Smith lost their lives. But they were not the only ones. Maybe they should not have been there. Maybe you were coming home from the concert that you weren't supposed to come home from. You know that you slipped out and you just knew that if you could get back in the house in time, then nobody would ever know, and you know you did what you were supposed to do. And Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty were CIA contractors. They died that night. And all they were hoping was that on the other side of the phone, there was someone who knew how vulnerable they were. Knew that this is it. This is it. I mean, if you come, you come. If you don't come, I'm not coming home. Can you imagine knowing that you're facing your last moment? Would you be brave or would you be a coward? These men, I'm going to read to you right now an email. And this email, and forgive me for being so close. My wife says that when I'm close like this on the screen that you just look very pensive, like you're really jumping into it. I want to back up just a little way. I know, but this is this was from Jimmy Bash, civilian at the State Department, on Tuesday, September 11th, 2012, at 7:19 p.m. It went out to Jacob Sullivan. It went out to Wendy Sherman. It went out to Thomas Nides. There was a CC to James Miller, James Winifred, John Kelly, Lieutenant General John Kelly, Martin Dempsey, and Hillary Rodham Clinton. It's about Libya. It began, state colleagues. I just tried you on the phone, but you were all in with S. After consulting with General Dempsey, General Ham, and the Joint Staff, we have identified the forces that could move to Benghazi. They are spinning up as we speak. They include, and they go on and they block it out so you can't see it. Assuming principals agree to deploy these elements, we will ask state to secure the approval from host nation. Please advise how you wish to convey that approval to us. Jeremy. These men and women did not have to die. Remember, Secretary of Defense Leon Panetta testified in 2013 that the time, the distance, the lack of adequate warning, events that move very quickly on the ground prevented a more immediate response. Can you imagine being on that phone and hearing from people who have your lives in your hand, or in their hand at least, say that politically we can't save your life? We're in a bad spate here. Good luck and stand down. I didn't see President Obama place Vaseline or Vicks or onion juice under his eyelid when he greeted the families. Maybe if you had a heart, you wouldn't need any additional support. Mary says, after reading the book, I don't know how I'll ever be able to watch the movie. I don't know either, Mary. But I'm going to ask each and every listener of my show, my network, however way you wish to be known, go see 13 Hours. Go. I'm not talking about Star Wars numbers. That's not what this is about. But I want you to be able to see in an actor's eyes, a thespian of the stage, a pontificating orator. I want you to be able to see what these men miraculously did in the closing moments of their lives, and how justice has not come to them or their families because socialists want to elect the third term of Bill and Al and Joe and Obama. Ladies and gentlemen, that woman does not deserve the presidency, as she much deserves the prison. Go see 13 Hours, ladies and gentlemen. Now, for all of you who are following along at home, there was a $40 million tax scam out of the District of Columbia. Yes, $40 million. And a former D.C. official pleaded guilty on January 5th, earlier today, to his role in the plot to file at least 12,000 fraudulent tax returns in order to claim the refunds. 12,000 fraudulent tax returns in order to claim the refunds. Mark A. Bell of Bowie, Maryland, admitted on January 5th to being part. Now, I want you to pay attention. Being part of a network of more than 130 people seeking to defraud the federal government of $40 million through fake returns. A D.C. official. Now, from 2005 to 2013, Bell was a program manager, officer, and placement expediter at the city's Department of Youth Rehabilitation Services and used the agency's database to steal the information of at least 645 delinquent youth housed in DYRS. My wife and I went there with Shonda Smith of Murder Mistaken to try to bring some joy to the lives of families who, thanks to homicides unresolved, suffer the loss of their families this time of the year. There were people willing to take advantage of those who had already been taken advantage of. 645 delinquent youth. Now their credit and everything else is messed up. They will be paying that price for the rest of their lives. Taxpayers like you and me have paid for Mark Bell and his accompaniment of 130 people defrauding the federal government. We paid for their color TV sets and their nice trips and everything else. What Bell did is he gave the information to other participants in the wide-ranging network to file 1,160 fraudulent tax returns, claiming more than $4.4 million in refunds. $4.4 million in refunds, for which he compensated. Now, the Department of Justice officials said the Treasury issued more than 700 checks totaling $2.4 million in refunds to DYRS youth whose information Bell stole. Bell pleaded guilty to conspiracy to defraud the government with respect to claims, aiding and abetting in the filing of fictitious and false claims, and aiding and abetting fraud and related activity in connection with identification documents for his role in the scheme. Over 12,000 federal income tax returns claiming refunds of over $40 million. And he got $4 million of it, 10%. Now he's an agent. Now the maximum that he will have to serve is 30 years if he's given the max, and pay back nearly $2 million in restitution. this is what I want to tell you. Be very careful this tax season about who performs the tax service for you. Make certain first and foremost in these first 30 days, because there are nonprofit organizations that help with counseling, financial counseling. Before you get your taxes done this year, go get a credit report. Some may only cost 10, some may cost 20 or 30. It depends on the nonprofit and its charges. But still, that is much cheaper than dealing with identity theft. In addition to that, after you reviewed it, make certain that all the information about you is accurate and true. And make certain that the information that's on your credit report, especially on the public records, shows that you're in good standing with the federal and state governments regarding taxes. When we come back tomorrow night, I am going to focus a great deal of that on the Internal Revenue Service and preparing your tax returns for 2016, or at least 2015 tax returns. And I'm encouraging you to make certain that you protect yourself, because you're the only one sometimes that cares about you besides God and his trusted patrons, his sons. Ladies and gentlemen, I will never be as courageous as Chris Tonto Peranto, but a friend of mine told me, live life bravely so you'll never die a coward. I promise you I always will. Always remember, God has blessed America. Now it's time for America to bless God. We'll be back tomorrow night, Sackheads Radio Night. I thank you for listening. Good night, and God bless.